Hey everyone! Are you about to uncover something that will forever change the way you see the world, maybe even yourself? Now, this isn't just another New Age spiritual secret that's here today and gone tomorrow. This is an ancient technique, so powerful, it was actually kept hidden for centuries, reserved only for those who were truly ready to understand its implications. And if you're watching this, if you're here right now, I genuinely believe it's no accident. Something inside you is ready to awaken. And I can almost sense it through the screen. You're about to discover something that's been there all along, just patiently waiting for you to find it, the kind of secret that only a brave few are willing to share openly. Do you remember the last time you felt a strange, sudden chill run down your spine for no apparent reason? Or had one of those moments where you just knew something, deep in your gut, without having any logical way of knowing how? You weren't imagining it. In those moments, you were actually touching the very thin barrier, the veil, that separates two worlds, two distinct realities. You see, there are two realities that exist in parallel, side by side, and you move through both of them every single day, even if you're only consciously aware of one. For ages, certain people, certain keepers of wisdom, have guarded this sacred knowledge. They learned how to navigate and move between these realities with an incredible ease, almost like you move from one room to another in your own home. And they weren't any different from you or me, they simply knew how to activate this dormant, natural ability within themselves. What I'm about to share with you has been passed down in whispers, from teacher to student, for countless generations. Now, why so many secrets? Because this knowledge is incredibly powerful, almost like fire. It can illuminate your path beautifully, or it can burn you, depending on how you approach it and use it. But something is shifting in the world. And I feel it, and I have a strong sense that you feel it too. Something is waking up inside of you, as if a part of you is beginning to recognize a profound truth it's always known. Do you feel that sensation sometimes? Like you're on the verge of remembering something incredibly important? Listen closely to that feeling. Your inner voice, your intuition, is trying to guide you. Before we go any further, I need you to do something for me. If you can, just close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep, centering breath. Can you feel the air filling your lungs, the gentle expansion? Now, ask yourself, silently or aloud, am I truly ready to see beyond the veil? Because once you learn this technique, once this understanding clicks into place, there's really no going back. Your perception of reality will be forever changed. Let's talk about this forgotten gift that we all actually have. Imagine for a moment that you have a third eye. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about something mystical or strange in the way it's often portrayed, but a natural, inherent ability that's as much a part of you as your ability to dream. In fact, every single night when you dream, you unconsciously use this very power. Have you ever wondered how you can see, feel, and experience things so vividly in your dreams, without your physical eyes being involved at all? This gift isn't something you need to go out and acquire, you already possess it. It's more like a muscle you've perhaps stopped using, or a radio station you've simply forgotten how to tune into. Right now, it's there, dormant but present inside you, just waiting for you to remember how to activate it. Think about a newborn baby. Have you ever noticed how they sometimes seem to gaze intently at what appears to be empty space, maybe with a little smile? Or how young children often talk about things, people, or places that adults simply can't see? They aren't just imagining things in the way we dismiss it. They're often using this ability naturally, just as you once did, and just as you can again. And here's a fascinating part. Your brain processes far more information from your environment than you consciously realize. Scientific studies have shown that we're only consciously aware of a tiny fraction of what our senses are actually picking up all the time. Do you remember the last time you felt like someone was staring at you, only to turn around and see them watching you? That wasn't just a random coincidence. That was very likely your inner vision, your extended senses, at work. Every time you had a strong gut feeling that turned out to be absolutely right, every time you just knew something was about to happen right before it did, every time you thought of someone out of the blue right before they called or texted, those weren't just coincidences. Those were moments when your natural, innate gift kicked in, almost like a muscle reflex. As you're listening to this, I want you to try a little exercise with me. Just pay gentle attention to what you feel on your forehead, right between your eyebrows. Do you notice anything? Maybe a slight pressure, a gentle tingling sensation. Some people might feel a subtle warmth, others a soft, almost electric prickling. No matter what the sensation is, or even if you don't feel much at first, what matters is that you're beginning to focus your awareness on the activation point of your inner vision. You're already laying the groundwork to awaken this forgotten gift. Now, imagine you're building a house. Not just any house, but a special kind of house, a bridge, if you will, between these two worlds we talked about. What kind of foundation would you need for such a structure? That's exactly what the ancient masters asked themselves. And after centuries of deep study, practice, and observation, they discovered three core elements, three pillars, that are absolutely essential. Without any one of them, the whole structure would eventually collapse. That's why I need you to pay very close attention to each one as we explore them. The first pillar is conscious silence. But I'm not just talking about the kind of quiet you get when you turn off the TV or find a moment alone. I'm talking about a much deeper silence, the space between your thoughts, the stillness where your true, untapped power resides. Do you remember those moments right before you fall asleep, when your mind finally quiets down, just before you drift off? That's the kind of profound silence we must learn to cultivate, but while staying fully awake and aware. The second pillar is sacred breathing. Right now, you're breathing automatically, without thinking about it. But what happens when you take conscious, intentional control of your breath? Something truly amazing begins to happen. Your body and your mind start to sync up in a powerful way. The ancients discovered that certain breathing patterns act almost like keys, unlocking new levels of perception and awareness. And this is no coincidence. In virtually all ancient traditions, breath, prana, chi, ki, was seen as the vital link between the visible world and the invisible realms. And directed focus is our third pillar. This one is probably the hardest to master in today's world, which is just full of endless distractions. Think of your attention, your focus, like a laser beam. When it's scattered all over the place, it barely makes an impact. But when it's sharply focused on one single point, it can cut through steel. Your ability to maintain focus is like a muscle, it gets stronger with consistent practice. And when you combine this pillar of directed focus with the other two, conscious silence and sacred breathing, something incredibly powerful happens. These three pillars work together synergistically, like the ingredients of an old, time-tested recipe. When mixed in the right way, and at the right time, they create a synergy that unlocks something within you that was dormant, waiting. It's like having three different keys, and you need all of them to unlock the ultimate door. Before we dive into the specific techniques, we absolutely need to talk about preparation. A common mistake many people make is thinking they need to create some fancy, elaborate space with special candles, incense, and exotic symbols. And while those things can certainly help set a mood, the most important preparation actually happens in a much more personal, intimate space, your own mind. Think of your mind as a beautiful garden that has perhaps been left to grow wild for years, with thoughts, worries, and emotions sprouting up everywhere, without much order. It's time to take conscious control and become the dedicated gardener of your own mental space. You don't need to clear everything all at once, that would be overwhelming. Just start by creating a small, clear, peaceful area within your mind where you can begin your work. The preparation for this personal space, your inner sanctuary, starts with a simple but incredibly powerful step: making a conscious decision. Every time you decide to practice, you're essentially setting aside a special, sacred moment in your day. This practice can happen in your bedroom, a quiet park, or even during your lunch break at work. The physical location, ultimately, doesn't matter as much as your intention and your commitment. Factors like temperature, light, and noise can affect your practice, of course. But you don't need absolutely perfect conditions. In fact, learning to work with whatever is around you, to find stillness amidst the noise, is a crucial part of the practice itself. Is there traffic noise outside? Great. Use that as a tool to help you deepen your focus, to go beyond it. What's most important in preparing your space, both inner and outer, is consistency. Even just 10 minutes of dedicated practice every single day, even in less than ideal conditions, is far better than waiting indefinitely for that perfect time or place that may never arrive. Your mind learns through repetition. And each time you consciously create this special moment for yourself, even briefly, you strengthen the foundation of your practice. Now, we come to what might be the most powerful part of this entire journey, the SCP breathing ritual. This is more than just a simple breathing exercise, it's a key, a specific sequence that unlocks states of consciousness you might not have even known were possible for you. Why 7 breaths, you might ask? Because this number often corresponds to the SCP, or Sacred Consciousness Protocol, levels of depth we need to gently move through to reach a state of expanded awareness. The first breath is like opening a window in a room that's been closed up for years. As you inhale, imagine drawing in a beautiful, golden light into your body. Don't worry too much about seeing it perfectly, just focus on the intention. As you exhale, feel any tension, any stress, leaving your body like dust being gently blown away. This very first breath sets the tone for everything that follows. With the second and third breaths, you might start to notice something unusual. Time itself may seem to slow down. This is completely normal. You're starting to detach from the busy, hurried pace of your everyday mind. Make sure each inhale is a little deeper than the last, as if you're filling not only your lungs but every single cell in your body with this vibrant energy. With each exhale, let your eyelids become heavy, relaxed, but keep your mind alert and present. The fourth and fifth breaths are often the most crucial. This is when many people experience their first real glimpse of inner vision, perhaps that sensation at the center of the forehead we talked about, or a feeling that your head is subtly expanding. Some even report seeing soft, muted colors or glowing, geometric patterns, even with their eyes closed. Don't try to hold on to these experiences if they happen. Just observe them with a gentle curiosity, while continuing to focus on your deep, rhythmic breathing. The last 2 breaths, the 6th and 7th, mark the final stage of this particular ritual. By this point, your mind will likely be deeply calm, yet still remarkably alert. It's a unique state, almost like being on the very edge of sleep while remaining fully conscious. At this point, the boundary, the veil between worlds, often becomes thinner, more permeable. The key here is to remain in this state without forcing anything, without striving. Inner vision, remember, is like a wild, beautiful animal. You can't chase it down. It will come to you, approach you, when the time is right, when you've created the right conditions of stillness and receptivity. Have you ever noticed that strange, almost magical moment just before you fall asleep? That delicate in-between space where you're neither fully awake nor fully asleep? This transitional state is what the ancients often referred to as the blind spot of consciousness. It's a mental state we all experience every single night, but we rarely notice it consciously, and even less often do we learn to tap into its potential. Imagine your mind as a continuous flow of thoughts, like a river. The blind spot is like a silent whirlpool in that stream, a brief, almost imperceptible pause where everything slows down. It's not an emptiness, but rather a space of profound potential, where something extraordinary can emerge. It's called the blind spot because, much like the anatomical blind spot in your physical vision, it's there, but you can't directly see it by looking right at it. You experience it all the time, but you can't quite grasp it with your ordinary focused attention. The difference is, with the right kind of practice, you can learn to recognize and consciously inhabit this incredibly fertile space. To find your blind spot, you need to develop a new kind of attention, not focusing in the usual, effortful way. The more you try to see it directly, the more it will slip away. It's more like learning to see with your mental peripheral vision. Start by simply observing your thoughts without getting attached to them, without judgment. And eventually, with patience, you'll begin to notice tiny gaps, little pauses between your thoughts. These gaps are the first subtle signs of your blind spot. The most surprising thing often happens when you learn to gently extend these moments of mental quiet. Time itself seems to stretch, and your hidden perceptions, your intuitive senses, become more flexible, more accessible. In the background of your mind, information that has always been there, just below the surface of conscious awareness, begins to rise, becoming easier to access as your usual mental filtering system, your everyday analytical mind, steps aside for a moment. This is the true beginning of seeing beyond what you currently know. Now, have you ever noticed how your mental state, your mood, your energy levels, change throughout the day? It's like a natural, internal dance. Sometimes you're sharp, focused, and alert. Other times, you're more relaxed, dreamy, and receptive. And there are even those moments, like we just discussed, when you're in that delicate space between being fully awake and fully asleep. These shifts are not random, they represent different patterns of your mind's activity, different brainwave states, almost like a radio changing channels to pick up different broadcasts. Imagine your mind as a vast ocean, with different currents flowing at different depths. On the surface, where the waves are often the most intense and sometimes choppy, that's your usual waking state, your beta brainwave state. That's probably where you are right now, listening to this. It's incredibly useful for navigating day-to-day life, for analysis and action. But to tap into your deeper inner vision, you need to learn to dive deeper, into calmer waters. As you go beneath that active surface, you reach calmer, more receptive states, alpha, theta, like swimming in the serene depths of the ocean. This is where the real magic often happens. You may have even experienced this without consciously realizing it. Those moments of sudden clarity or insight that pop up right before you fall asleep, or those flashes of profound intuition you might get while on a peaceful walk in nature. What's truly exciting is that you can learn to move between these states consciously. It's not about forcing anything, but about learning to gracefully ride the waves of your own mind. Start by noticing when you're naturally more open and receptive, maybe early in the morning, just after waking, or perhaps around dusk, as the day winds down. These are often natural portals, times when the barrier between worlds, between states of consciousness, feels thinner. These states are more than just relaxed moments, they are distinct frequencies of perception, each with its own unique feel, its own unique gifts. With practice, you'll learn to recognize these subtle internal changes and even begin to switch between them more at will, like a skilled musician moving effortlessly from one note, one octave, to another. Now, we're at a really critical part of your journey, understanding and navigating the challenges you'll likely face along the way. And please, don't be afraid of them. In fact, if they don't show up at some point, that's often when you should be more concerned, as their absence might mean you're not truly stretching or making deep progress. These guardians of the threshold, as some traditions call them, aren't your enemies. They are actually disguised teachers, each one offering an important lesson, an opportunity for growth. The first guardian you'll almost certainly meet is doubt. And I'm not just talking about the basic kind of doubt about whether this method or technique actually works. I mean a deeper, more insidious doubt that can arise from within you. You might start to question not just the practice itself, but your whole perception of reality, your sanity even. This is completely normal. You're beginning to break down years, maybe lifetimes, of conditioning about what's possible and what's not. The second guardian is fear. Again, not necessarily fear of a specific external danger, but a more subtle, deeper kind of fear, often, the fear of losing your current, familiar understanding of what's real. As you start to explore these expanded states of consciousness, a part of you may naturally hesitate, like standing on the edge of a deep, dark pool. You might know intellectually that you can swim, but something inside still holds back before you take the plunge. This resistance is natural, and in many ways, necessary. It prepares you for what's coming next. The next guardian you'll likely encounter is impatience. In today's world of instant gratification, this might just be the toughest challenge of all. You'll want immediate results, clear signs that you're making progress, tangible proof. But inner vision, this deep awakening, is like tending a garden. You can't rush the plants to grow faster. Impatience, however, is actually a wonderful opportunity to develop a new, more profound relationship with time, with process, with trust. And then there's the most subtle, and perhaps the most important guardian of all, the spiritual ego. As you begin to experience new phenomena, as your perception broadens, as you gain new insights, you may start to feel a little special, a little different, maybe even a little more enlightened than others. This guardian is here to teach you the immense value of humility and discernment. The most profound and authentic experiences often happen when we completely let go of the need to be the one who sees beyond, the one who has all the answers. These guardians, these challenges, they never truly go away entirely. But with practice and awareness, they transform. They become your allies. Doubt turns into wise discernment. Fear evolves into a deep respect for the unknown. Impatience blossoms into a genuine appreciation for the journey itself. And the spiritual ego, when met with humility, transforms into genuine, heartfelt service. So, every time you face resistance, remember, you're not facing an obstacle, you're undergoing an initiation. There is a magical moment, a distinct shift, that almost everyone who embarks on this path eventually experiences, although they all describe it differently. Some call it the click. Others talk about a quantum leap in consciousness. But honestly, words don't really do it justice. It's like trying to explain the taste of fresh water to someone who's never drunk it. But when it happens, you know it, without a shadow of a doubt. The first signs are often quite subtle. Colors may suddenly seem more vivid, more alive. Meaningful coincidences, or synchronicities, may start happening with increasing frequency. Or you might wake up some mornings with a distinct feeling that you've traveled to incredible places in your sleep, places your logical mind can't quite explain or categorize. These are like the first few raindrops before a gentle, cleansing storm, small hints that a profound shift is about to change the way you perceive everything. The experience of the awakening itself can be very gentle, like a soft whisper, or it can be incredibly powerful, like a sudden flash of profound insight. For some, it feels like taking off an invisible blindfold they never even knew they were wearing. Suddenly, the world looks completely new, vibrant, and interconnected, even though nothing around them has physically changed. For others, the process is more gradual, and they only realize the magnitude of the shift in hindsight, like noticing that it's suddenly daylight without quite remembering exactly when dawn came. The most fascinating thing about this awakening is that it often happens in layers. Just when you think you've reached a peak of understanding or perception, you discover there's a whole deeper level waiting to be explored. It's like opening one door and finding yourself in a room full of new, intriguing doors, each leading to further discovery. Each awakening tends to be deeper than the last, each understanding more profound. But here's a very important warning, or rather, a crucial piece of guidance: you absolutely cannot force this moment to happen. It's like falling in love. The more you try to control it, to make it happen on your timeline, the more it tends to slip away. Your job is not to force its arrival, but to diligently create the right internal conditions, the stillness, the openness, the receptivity, and then to be fully present and aware when it naturally comes. Ironically, it often happens when you least expect it, when you finally stop actively searching for it, in a moment of complete surrender and trust. Once your inner vision truly awakens, you begin to enter a new and often unfamiliar space, almost like gaining a divine, new ability to see and perceive things you couldn't before. But with this incredible gift comes a significant responsibility. You must learn to navigate these deeper layers of reality with wisdom, discernment, and profound care. You'll likely start noticing time shifting in strange and wonderful ways. Moments may feel like they're stretching out, becoming incredibly expansive, or sometimes, they might feel like they're shrinking or collapsing. You might experience sudden insights or downloads of information that seem to condense years of knowledge or understanding into a single split second. Or you might develop a subtle, intuitive sense of events just before they happen. Don't be alarmed by any of this. It's much like learning to swim. At first, the water, the new environment, feels strange, maybe even a little disorienting. But over time, with practice and growing familiarity, you'll learn to move more naturally, more gracefully within it. Synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences, will likely start happening so often that you can no longer possibly call them mere coincidences. It will feel as though the universe itself is speaking to you directly, through symbols, through encounters, through meaningful connections. You'll learn to read them, not as fixed, unchangeable predictions of the future, but more as gentle signposts, pointing towards possible paths, possible futures, offering guidance and confirmation along your way. Still, it's incredibly important to balance this newfound confidence in your intuition with a healthy dose of discernment. One of the most subtle challenges you might encounter is learning to recognize the different kinds or levels of these expanded perceptions. Just like your physical eyes can easily distinguish a real tree from its reflection in water, your inner vision will begin to reveal different levels, different textures, of reality. Some perceptions might be symbolic dreams, offering insights from your subconscious. Others might be fleeting glimpses of possible futures, or deeper, more direct insights into the fundamental nature of reality itself. The ultimate key to navigating these deeper waters successfully is to build what the ancients often called the anchor. Now, this isn't a fixed point to rigidly hold on to, but rather a deep, unwavering trust in your own ability to stay balanced, centered, and present, no matter how unfamiliar or even challenging the territory might become. This anchor is built slowly, patiently, through consistent practice, through mindful observation of your inner and outer experiences, and most importantly, by being completely, radically honest with yourself. Now, let's talk about the part of this incredible journey that might seem less exciting or glamorous to some, but is actually, without a doubt, the most important: how to bring these extraordinary experiences, these expanded states of consciousness, back into your everyday life and integrate them fully. After all, what good is accessing these profound states if you can't use the wisdom, the clarity, the expanded perspective you gain from them in your daily activities, like when you're at the grocery store, or at work, or interacting with the people you care about? Integration begins with a simple, though often challenging, task: learning to keep one foot firmly planted in each world. Think of yourself as a skilled translator, moving gracefully between two distinct languages. One language is that of ordinary, everyday experience, and the other is the language of your expanded perception, your inner vision. At first, you might even feel like a bit of a stranger in your own familiar world, noticing things with a new clarity, a new depth, that you once ignored or took for granted. It's often like watching an old, familiar movie but with brand new subtitles that give a much deeper, richer meaning to what you thought you already knew. One incredibly valuable key to successful integration is to keep something I like to call a navigator's journal. Now, this doesn't need to be some formal, elaborate diary. A simple note app on your phone, or a small notebook, works perfectly. The important thing is to regularly record your experiences, your insights, your intuitive hits, your synchronicities, and most importantly, to note how they specifically affect or inform your daily life. For example, you might note that little hunch you had to change your driving route one day, which helped you avoid a major traffic jam. Or that sudden urge to call an old friend, only to find out they were really needing someone to talk to at that exact moment. These small, seemingly insignificant moments, when recorded and reflected upon, become like landmarks on a map. And when you connect these landmarks, they begin to reveal much bigger, more meaningful patterns in your life and in your unfolding journey. At this point, as your perceptions expand, you might feel a strong urge to share everything you're experiencing with everyone you know. And that's completely natural. When you discover something so powerful, so transformative, you often want others to experience it too. But this is where that quality of discernment becomes absolutely crucial. Not everyone is ready, or even open, to hearing about these kinds of experiences. And that's perfectly okay. True mastery isn't about showing off your newfound perceptions or trying to convince anyone of anything. It's about quietly and effectively using them to become more present, more compassionate, more wise, and more effective in your own everyday life. Integration also means learning how to consciously manage your energy. As your inner vision awakens, you'll likely become much more sensitive to people, to places, to situations, to energies. It's as if your internal sensitivity dial has been turned way up. You'll start finding new ways to balance yourself, to protect your energy, like perhaps spending more quiet time alone in nature, or setting up new routines and practices that help you stay centered and grounded amidst the often chaotic energy of the world. Pay close attention to these emerging needs. They're an important part of your new way of being, your new way of navigating reality. And here's the beautiful, final paradox of this whole process. The more you consciously integrate these extraordinary experiences and perceptions into your ordinary life, the more they actually start to feel normal. Not in a way that takes away their magic or their wonder, but rather because your very idea of what normal is expands to include them. Inner vision, intuitive knowing, a sense of deep interconnectedness, these will eventually become as natural to you as your physical sight. There will no longer be a sharp separation between the mystical and the everyday. Everything will begin to blend into a continuous, flowing dance of discovery, wonder, and profound presence. And here's the ultimate truth: integration is an ongoing, lifelong process. Each day offers new chances to deepen your understanding, to refine your perception, and to use that expanded wisdom in creative, meaningful, and heart-centered ways. It's not a final destination you arrive at, but a never-ending journey of growth and unfolding. As long as you keep that spark of curiosity alive within you, every ordinary moment will continue to hold the immense potential to reveal something truly extraordinary. You've just taken an incredible first step by discovering, or perhaps rediscovering, this ancient technique. But the road ahead is wonderfully endless, filled with countless possibilities for further exploration and growth. Everyone who has walked this path before you has found their own unique way of exploring these uncharted, luminous realms of consciousness. If this journey, this sharing, has inspired you even in some small way, just imagine all that we have yet to discover together. Please consider subscribing to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any future videos. We'll continue to uncover more of the universe's profound secrets and learn how to apply them practically in our everyday lives. I'll see you in the next video.